Hey guys, guten Morgen aus Deutschland, good morning from Germany. I can't believe it's been 10 days since I last posted, but I guess time flies when you're really busy. And before I get into what's going on with my parents' situation, I did get a phone call from the ENTs that took the 6 vials of blood, and they told me at my general practitioner last time the partial results already that my blood work was all right, nothing indicating that anything is wrong. And so this time the ENTs called me. I had written them an email saying, could I get the rest of the results? I just want to move on with this. And so the ENT that actually talked to me, the one that I told you guys, could repeat word for word what I said within my 5 minute monologue to him. He told his colleague what I had said. So he's the one that called me back, and he said they did find that there's a chronic inflammation in the body. But the numbers indicate that it's not really bad. And so let me see here, I got it on my bulletin board. The CRP was minimally raised, and the creatinine, whatever, that's the where the number would indicate if there's something wrong with the kidneys. That's a little bit higher, but not much. And the C1 is also a little bit higher. And so he would recommend not doing an allergy test because it does not seem, he excluded that it's an allergic reaction. And so he recommended I see the nephrologist, which is the doctor that deals with the kidneys, and then a rheumatologist, which we have none of that going on in our family. And so I'm a little bit torn because I don't know if I should continue going from one doctor to the next. I mean, I'm appreciative of the fact that I live in Germany and that I don't have to pay for any of these doctor's visits. But then again, I'm just torn right now with the situation with my parents that really, all these things have to be taken care of right now because we do have to get rid of everything that my parents ever owned. And at the same time, I'm thinking, hey, before I go from one doctor to the next, maybe I should just ask my general practitioner if he can just refer me to a hospital. And then they can do all the tests, and I can be in and out within a few days or a week or whatever. Because it's now starting to get on my nerves that I have to go from doctor to doctor. And also, I'm thinking that the reason why the creatinine number is a little bit higher might be caused by the fact that I did try to take diuretic pills, and so they never made the edema go away. And so I'm not sure. I'm going back and forth, but I'm gonna keep you up to date on that. But yeah, my sister and I are still doing the same thing that we were doing when I last talked about it in my last audio recording, and that is still dealing with the legal paperwork. I mean, it is so rough to deal with all these, authorities that, of course, in Germany, red tape is a really big thing. And so, of course, they're trying to make sure that we are not taking advantage of our parents, which I find offensive on one hand. On the other hand, I'm thinking they're doing it because there were cases where people actually did take advantage of their loved ones that could not make decisions for themselves anymore. And so whatever, but it's causing my sister and I a lot of work, a lot of run around, a lot of phone calls, a lot of, oh, he's not reachable right now, would you like to leave a message? And then they call back 2 days later. It's just ongoing, one thing after another. But at the same time, I'm also aware that this is temporary. This is not going to last forever. This can last tops a few more weeks, and then it has to be over. But until then, my sister and I have our work cut out for us. And so, what I've been doing, and I'm still doing it, I had no idea how long it would take me, is dealing with the paperwork. And even though I didn't want to give too many details, I would like to explain it to you so that I'm not being too vague and it's not too hard to understand what I'm doing. My father is in his 80s, actually mid 80s, and he tried everything he could. I can see that now going through all the paperwork, everything he could to pay the bills, to file paperwork, but he didn't have, I don't know, maybe when you get older, you don't have the thoughts for that anymore, like organizing things correctly. And so he would have stacks of paperwork and envelopes, and he wouldn't dare to throw anything out paperwork wise. And so he also kept paperwork that was just a flat out advertisement. And so I had to go through that first, get rid of all the paperwork that is completely meaningless, and also find out where all he would, have these stacks, but because he has a desk and he has a hutch and he has shelves, and so I haven't even been through all of them. But what I have managed to do is, and it actually makes me mad that I had to um, manually walk through this, is because like I don't know, a few months after I got back from the States, in 2018, I told him, "Look, you need to get your affairs in order. What if you keeled over right now? We need to know what to do. Like, mom is gone, but mentally, and so." I appreciate the fact that you've been doing the paperwork, the bills and making sure that all the bills are paid and stuff. And I said, but if you keeled over right now, we wouldn't even know who to contact. Like, do you guys have any insurances? What are the bank accounts like? And he said, yeah, but I don't want to deal with it because as soon as I do the last will, I'm probably gonna end up dying. And I said, that is so crazy. That is so idiotic. And so he ended up never telling my sister and I anything. And so I just, for the past few weeks now, I've been having to go through all that paperwork bit by bit, piece of paper by piece of paper. And so now I have an overview of what their bills are, what the insurances are. And then, of course, when you have a few years of paperwork in front of you, let's say from one insurance, and then it says a company name, and then for let's say 2018, and then in 2021 it says the same kind of insurance but a different company name. And so it's like detective work. You really have to try to remember, where did I see this before? And I told you guys I got myself a lot of folders, and I put like Manila folder, something like that. And I started just sorting like a living situation, insurances. And so the farther I got ahead, the more folders I had to get because it got more specific. So my dad has several insurances, for example, that pay out a certain amount once he dies. And then he has another one in case, there's an accident, or if anybody drops something on my mother's stove, which is a ceramic stove top. And so, wow, there's so much paperwork, so many insurances. And what I'm trying to do now with all of that knowledge, and I hope I'm close to being done with, spotting paperwork and including it in the filing system that I've created, um, is that I have to, or my sister and I have to decide what insurances to cancel. And so we've been having to send out paperwork, like the paperwork that confirms that my sister is making the decisions for my dad. I never wanted that. I'm the younger daughter. Plus, I'm probably not going to be around in Germany for, however long they might still live, my parents. And so it made more sense to let my sister do that. And so she has to decide, or we decide together what insurances to get rid of, or we're also gonna cancel the garage that the Mercedes was parked in. That was separate from where they lived. It was up the road, and so we're gonna get the winter tires out, and that whole car thing is still in front of us. the state inspection is going to be due this month, and also the brake lights went out. Of course, when you deal with things, there are more and more piling up, and so that's what happened. And so we're going to have to take the Mercedes into a shop, and then there are just so many things to do. And as you can tell, I'm a bit torn between not wanting to be too vague, but also not giving too much detail. But that is what I've been dealing with. And so before you know it, like you sit down, you sort paperwork, and you're slowly getting to a point where you're thinking, okay, so um, I think I'm getting a pretty good image of what my parents, what their financial situation was, and how we're going to incorporate into the new financial situation. Because, of course, both of my parents are now at a senior care facility, and that costs around 5,000 euros a month. And I was shocked when I heard about that. But my parents, of course, have retirement, several payments that come in, and they also get help from the state when you have a certain amount of income. I mean, you can imagine my father having worked all his life in administration and bookkeeping in the on the management level. He has a pretty good retirement, but now we're figuring out, wow, maybe he's getting a lot of money a month, but the expenses are going to be significant. And so my mission right now is to cancel everything I can. Also, we're trying at the same time to empty the house so that we can get rid of it, so that there won't be any more expenses concerning that. And at the same time, there are always like questions from the senior care facility about what they still need for our parents. Because again, my mother was put in the senior care facility in February, and then my father, he did all right in the beginning, and we thought he would recover from taking care of my mom and stuff like that. But then he went to the hospital several times for different reasons. And the last time he went, he said, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go back home. I just want to go to where mom is. And so we put him in that home too. And so now we're stuck with everything at that house. And all of this just happened the past few weeks or months, you can say almost. That with my dad happened last month when he decided he doesn't want to go back home. He doesn't care about anything that is left in the house. He said burn it all, because of course he's bitter. His own wife doesn't recognize him anymore, that he took care of for decades. They were married for almost 60 years. I mean, in February it's going to be 60 years. And they had two children, my sister and me, and they never cheated on each other. And these are my biological parents, never any drugs, never any, well, alcohol, here and there, but never worth mentioning. And so he figured he lived a pretty good life, a responsible life, and he's deserved to be taken care of. But every day he sees his wife that doesn't remember him, and that of course is a slap in the face. And so that of course has an impact on him, in the sense that they want to have him see or take him to a cardiologist. He might have to have a pacemaker put in, and he doesn't want to do that. Because why extend his life when he's already very bitter about how things happened? And I totally get that. And with me, um, as some of you know, thinking about life like we're just here for a short while, and then we leave again, and then we might come back. And with us having a soul contract and stuff, I'm not egoistic enough to say I would like for him to continue his life. I would totally get if he just wants to let go and go, and leave his earthly shell behind. I would totally get that, and especially in my mom's case, I would, because when you are mentally almost like a child again, but a child can understand who they are and who their parents are. I mean, they can recognize people. My mom can no longer do that, and so I don't know what kind of a life that is. And that these two situations alone, my dad being so bitter about it and my mom just not caring anymore at all, because she doesn't have the mental capacity to understand where she is, who she is, and who everybody else is. um, i'm I'm on an emotional roller coaster, I gotta tell you guys. I told you a few videos back. I do not get how my parents could just check out like that. But then again, everybody chooses how they're gonna go. At least I believe in that. And so I feel like, yeah, I feel a little bit disappointed that my parents would check out like that, because all through their lives they were being responsible, highly intelligent, and always doing the right thing, working for decades on end. And for lives like that to end the way they seem to be ending now, to me, it's a slap in the face. And I wake up some mornings and I think, hey, it's all good, right? It's all good. This is the way it is, and so I'm just gonna deal with it. And other times, like a couple of days ago, we were at my parents' house, and I was going through more paperwork, and then it actually hit me. Like, my dad has so many insurances, because he was trying to protect his wife and himself from financial losses through something like, for example, my mom taking something out of the cabinet above the stove and then it falling onto the stove. Apparently that happened, and so um, he got himself some insurance, and so it seemed like he did everything to protect themselves. Or I saw that, because I'm also seeing paperwork I'm probably not supposed to see. Or if my dad had a choice, he would probably um, dematerialize those things so that I don't see them. But he wrote to the city of where we live, to the Department of Transportation, and he talked about a really unpleasant experience on public transportation. And you guys know he has a car, and so he could have driven her down there, downtown, to the doctor. But my mom had a doctor's appointment, and so when they did, they would take the bus, because that way he didn't have to look for a parking spot. Also, he could just, or they would take a taxi downtown and public transportation back up to where they live. And he was talking about an experience on a bus where my mom was using her rollator, and she got on the bus and she instantly put on the brakes and sat on that rollator. And then the bus driver said she can't sit there; she has to sit on a regular seat. And then my dad said she can't sit there because she won't be able to get up. The bottom group of muscles in her back are no longer functioning, and I cannot pull her up because I'm too weak. And so he asked my parents to leave the bus. And so, I'm going through all kinds of things where I see my parents. Or in this case, my parents were really disrespected, and of course, the Department of Transportation made up for that, given that he had already, and I saw that too, he had already gotten a letter from the mayor of this town that or city that he lived in all through his life. They congratulated him on his 85th birthday, and so did the state governor of the state of Bavaria. And so when they noticed that they had treated somebody at that age that is still capable of writing letters on a computer and complaining about what happened, of course they try to make up for it. But I'm seeing all these things, and it's emotionally so challenging for me, because you guys know for 11 years I was in the States. I just got back in 2018, 6 years ago. And yeah, I knew that my parents live here and that they're getting older, but I had no idea what specifically they went through. And now I know, because now I see all the doctors. letters, like every time you leave a hospital, you get a letter sent to your doctor and to your own address, where there's a summary of things that were done or what happened. And it's really hard to walk through all of that. It's like 2 decades almost of, these things that where I have to go through the paperwork, and it's really rough. But I'm making headway, and yesterday, I managed to do the first cancellations of insurance contracts and the garage, for example, that we no longer need because my sister and I live somewhere else, and so we parked the Mercedes here where we live, and so I'm starting with that. That's all going, and even though we're making headway, it's really exhausting, and of course, it's making me, go back and forth between should I just ask my general practitioner to refer me to the hospital so that I can just have things taken care of, because the hives have not gone away, and I still can't sleep longer than 4 hours a night. I think it was when was it? About a week ago, I actually slept for 6 hours, 6 consecutive hours, and that was nice. But I think my body is now beginning to feel like the the effects of not being able to get enough sleep in a row, enough hours. And so that's worrying me a little bit, but at the same time, I'm on a roll now when it comes to all the paperwork that needs to be taken care of. And I would just at least like to get the insurances done, like get them canceled, once we figured out which ones we should cancel and which ones we should leave. And then I might just go. Um, but yeah. So that's how my days are just going by one after another. And it's challenging, but it has to be done. And there's no way we can stop it or pause it or anything like that. We have to keep going. And it's also been rather hot in Germany. Um, the temperatures have been like around 32 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's, of course, rough when you're sorting paperwork. And so um, I brought myself some incense sticks and some a fan to wear when I'm sorting paperwork, incense sticks. There are some like tea tree oil, for example, and they kind of neutralize the air, and you have an easier time breathing. And I have an allergy against dust, so imagine I'm opening all kinds of envelopes and unfolding paperwork. There's just dust everywhere. And so with the fan, it's a lot better now. And so I would like to continue doing that. And of course, everything on YouTube is on hold. And but I've been thinking about it. I'm gonna do an extra video on Chantal and her latest live stream, talking about going back to Canada for good this time. Yeah, right. So I'm gonna do that, but other than that, I can't pick up the pace on YouTube, neither here nor on the other channel, and not to mention getting the other channels going that I've already created for reactions to music videos and stuff like that. That's all gonna have to wait. But the good news is every step, and that came clear to me, like the other day, like every step my sister and I take, like every permission we get, every bill we pay or eliminate by me canceling the insurances, um, none of that is ever going to go backwards. We keep moving forwards, and that, those are successes that will eventually lead to us being off the hook concerning this whole thing. And that is a nice feeling. Um, it's not like a job where you go to your job every single day and you do the work and then you go home and the next day you go back and do it all over again. It's not going to be like that for us. And I do have to say that for the most part, this experience is negative for me, because I do see, like, imagine our parents are raising us and they're telling us, hey, life is like this, life is like that, go to school as, in my parents' case, they said, um, go to school as long as you can, get as good grades as you can, and then get a secure job and make as much money as you can and never take any risks and stuff like that. My parents were conservative like this. And they lived the principles that they imparted on us. And now I see that it makes no difference what you do in life, it still ends up with us leaving, you know. That is something which I'm completely aware of. I know that none of us have eternal life reserved for us. Sooner or later we all have to go. But to see it with your own parents, it's like I want to walk up to my dad and say, "Hey, that what you told us, it didn't really work out for you, did it? But that would be an audacity, and so I don't do it." But I'm having all kinds of thoughts about what are we doing here. I mean, that's really something that I didn't need, on top of always thinking about what does this all mean? Why are we all here, right? Um, but yeah, I'm thinking about it a lot. So, we're born, we go to school, we get ourselves a job, we get married, yes or no, we have children, yes or no, and then it all ends up with more and more bodily functions leaving us, and then just not caring about anything anymore, not about the material things that we've accumulated over the years. And in my mother's case, she doesn't even care. I mean, you can't say it like that, but it feels that way. She doesn't even care about who her husband was, who her kids are, you know. And I've never heard of it this way. I don't know why my parents are the ones that are demonstrating to me that you can just let go of everything. Not just materially, but also, so yeah, I don't care anymore. Yeah, just cancel all the insurances. I don't care, and that, my father has this way of just saying he doesn't care at all, because he's done with life, and I totally get it. Being in your mid 80s and having experienced what he's experienced, and so yeah, yeah. So we're just gonna go do one thing after another until we're finally done with everything. It's not an easy time, but I do get now why I had to listen to my inner voice back in 2017 when I decided to come back to Germany after 11 years, because my parents needed help and for other reasons too. But I also wanted to do things like, for example, get out of church. I mean, that is not something I came back to Germany for, but that's what I ended up doing. And having all the doctor's checkups done after 11 years of having no health insurance in the States, that was a plus. Or getting divorced, and yeah, things of the sort. So I do get it now, because I'm playing a big part, a big role in this whole game of helping my parents out the earthly door. And it's just, there are so many factors that we don't have, so we can't really plan. For example, and this is gonna sound really cruel, but my dad just went, was in and out the hospital since my mother had been put into that home, and so now he's at the senior care facility too. It's in the middle of summer, so he only needs summer clothes. So we've been bringing him summer clothes, and in the next few days we're going to go through his clothes, and of course rewash everything, because when you're at home as a retired person, you don't wear clothes that you might wear when you're in a senior care facility, and there are a whole bunch of people that you socialize with. And so we're getting him clothes for the summertime. If we knew already if he's gonna make it to the winter, we wouldn't have to go through all the winter clothes. You know what I'm saying? And this sounds really cruel, but these are the things we cannot take into consideration. We just have to assume this is gonna continue going and going and going. And just to find out that maybe a lot of work that we're putting ourselves through was for nothing, if you know what I mean. Or my mother, for example, she had a lot of clothes while she was still being active and everything. But so now she's at the senior care facility, and one of the hobbies she had to give up was eating. And so she's easily lost 60 to 70, no, wait a minute, no, kilos, 60 to 70 kilos. Wait, let me transfer that. She has lost between 130 to 150 pounds, let's say. And so none of her clothes fit anymore. You know what I mean? And so these things happen. And my dad, the same thing. He's losing weight now because he lost his appetite. I mean, just the fact that he was at the hospital. And then they said we would have to put in a pacemaker. And he said, I just want to go home. But then he decided he doesn't want to go home. He wants to go where his wife is. But she doesn't remember him. It's just, you know, it is not easy. But I guess it'll train some kind of muscle that my sister and I will be using after all of this is over, and it's going to be beneficial. But for now, it's not easy. And so that's what I've been doing. We're dealing with a whole lot of stuff, and we need to get it done within a few weeks. And that's what we've been doing. And so, yeah, I apologize for not uploading more often. And I've realized that, I'm sitting there and I'm in my parents' house and I'm sorting paperwork. And then I think, gosh darn it, I should post on my channel again. And by the time I get home, my sister and I are both so done with everything. I just don't even want to turn on my computer anymore, right? But I have to make it a point, like maybe record something while I'm at my parents' house and then post it when I get home. But yeah, I apologize. I have so many things on my mind. It's emotionally challenging, mentally, of course, because you have to deal all with all these people. The court, including the courthouse, for example. When it comes to making decisions for somebody else, they are involved, and you have to be at the top of your game. And so it's mentally challenging, it's emotionally challenging, and of course spiritually, because or I also look at, okay, so I'm going to be 56 later on this year, and my dad is about 30 years older than I am. So in about 30 years, I can expect for the same things to happen to me. Wow. It kind of puts your own life into perspective. Um, but not really, because, and see, and now I'm going off on a tangent because these are the things that just come to mind. Like, my parents were born when Germany was not really a rich country. I mean, there was something going on in Germany with that guy, if you know what I mean. I don't want to mention his name, but yeah, when he did all kinds of things, and so Germany was bombed, especially this city here. And so there were nothing but ruins. And my mother's mother actually rebuilt a house, a one family house, 2 stories and an attic, and she did that by herself because of her husband was killed in the war. And so they didn't have McDonald's and stuff like that. That all happened in the like 70s, 80s. And so they lived a totally different life. They still ate a lot of vegetables, and sometimes they didn't have anything to eat because there was nothing. There were no supermarkets, and so totally different time, right? Then they get into, of course, they experience the time when there are McDonald's and guest houses, I mean, restaurants and stuff like that. So they, eat, like in my mom's case, she ate more because she felt during the war how much it hurts to be actually hungry, physically hungry, and not having eaten in a few days. And so she went the opposite extreme, and so she got overweight because of that. And so my parents have a totally different, like the biochemistry in their bodies is totally different from my sisters and mine. Because when we were kids, we would beg my father to go to McDonald's, and he'd say, no, we have, sandwiches at home, you know. And so, yeah, our bodies are totally different, and so you can't really say, my sister and I have 30 more years left. You never know. I mean, you could get into an accident, or you could have something going on with your body that will shorten your lifespan. But yeah, these are all kinds of things. I mean, if you take into consideration, I have ADD. You can imagine what this time does to me. I really, have to force myself not to think about things all that much. Like when I talk to the psychiatrist about something, and I can't remember what did I say. And I said, yeah, so I'm thinking about what would be better if my parents had just died, like on the spot without being able to say goodbye, or that my sister and I see them in this condition for years on end now, since I got back from the States, and my sister even longer than that. And then the psychiatrist said, well, you're going to have to make a decision if you could ever come to an answer, if you would like the answer, or what good would it do you to know the answer. And so I'm trying to not let the overthinking, take over all that much. But as you might be able to tell in this recording, I'm not being very successful. But here and there I am, and I'm glad. But to sum things up, we are making progress. We are doing what needs to be done. It's going to be a few more weeks, and I'm going to keep you guys up to date. I don't know if I'm going to go back to a doctor. I really don't know. I have to meditate about that some more, or maybe just keep going until we have everything under control, and then put the focus back on my health. We'll see. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you for listening to all of this. I appreciate all of the well wishes and all the prayers going out to us. I really appreciate it. I feel the love. And I will talk to you again as soon as I can. Bye bye. Tschüssi.